Hello, I'm Suus from Refulingua and I'm here to give you some top tips for learning a new language. Tip number 1 is to find your motivation, find your why. If you know that you have a goal to work towards, you'll be more focused in your language learning and you'll know crucially when you get there, and it will be very rewarding. So tip number 1, find your why. Tip number 2 is to use content that is relevant to you. You're not going to be interested in learning loads of ski vocabulary if you actually just want to learn how to cook delicious Tunisian food. So find content, find vocabulary, find a way of learning that is relevant to your interests. You'll find it a lot easier to motivate yourself and to pick up new vocabulary and to use your new language. Tip number 3 is to make a friend who speaks your target language. It is the number 1 best way to learn a language. You'll have fun and you won't realise that you're learning a language while you're picking up all sorts of new bits of information about culture, about different idioms, different phrases, different slang. You'll have great fun. Tip number 3 is make a friend who speaks your target language. Tip number 4 is to use all the resources that we have at our fingertips. The internet is a wonderful place full of podcasts, full of films, full of grammar websites. It's got all sorts on there. Instagram's got a lot of different language sites. Some of them will work for you, some of them won't. The best thing to do is to try a little bit of each so that you're really surrounded by language on all sides. Tip number 5 is to remember that when we use our native tongues, we are only using about 1,000 words day to day, and most of our conversation is actually made up of the 100 same words. So you can go an awfully long way in a new language without having to learn too many new words. It's about getting our fluency and our confidence up and having an opportunity to practice those words. Tip number 6 is to remember that language is a dynamic tool that needs to be processed, not just memorised. It's something that we use, it's something that we need to get our heads around to develop our fluency. You can't just learn a list of words and expect to be able to use them. Now, that does require a lot of confidence, it requires us to be brave, it requires us to make mistakes. So tip 6 is also just to get out there and not be too afraid of making a fool of yourself. It will help your language learning in the long run. You've got to be confident and brave. Tip number 7, your final tip from me, is to join a language class. If you're in Bristol, you can join our Refulingua classes. We offer several different languages, online lessons, in-person lessons, and we focus on conversation. So really the skills that we use every day to communicate with language. If you're not in Bristol, we've got online classes, but I'm sure there are language classes local to you that you can join to really accelerate your language learning. Most importantly, have fun and enjoy the process. Thank you.
That's great.
Cool.